Hi, I'm Kat, and I'm here in the VA test kitchen to have a super secret conversation about Chris Morocco. Once again, we're putting Chris's super taster abilities to the test. This is Kenji Lopez-Alt's Okonomiyaki. I'm challenging Chris to recreate this dish with every ingredient. He'll be able to taste it, smell it, touch it, but at no point will he be able to see this dish. At the end, we'll come back to see his final creation, and I'll be the judge.
Oh, fascinating. Oh, kind of a seafood undertone, but with this kind of like barbecue thing kind of like riding on top of it. So suffice it to say, no f***ing idea here. It's like, it smells like monkfish, like braised in barbecue sauce. Spicy, sharp, maybe kind of tomatoey something. I mean, it's like ginger, but you would almost say it was pickled, and yet it's like very hot, very sharp, very raw. I'm getting the sensation that there's some kind of flavor sprinkled seemingly on top of things, but then there's like a dried seafood element. I think that's katsuobushi. Then under it, there's this really thin, crispy flap. It's like this huge sheet that wants to just shred apart into these long shreds. I'm getting like pork rib, but how is it like boneless? The richness from the meat, I mean, it really is reading as pork belly. What trips me up then is what is happening to the striations that are really predominantly fat. It just feels like that is gone, which makes this feel like an incredibly specific cut. This seems to be the glazy sauce that's on the meat, you know, kind of like molassesy, ketchup-y, then Kewpie mayo. Then under it, there's this really soft, pancakey something. Very neutral, very starchy. It's a little bit gelatinous. Is it like a batter that's holding quite a bit of cabbage, ginger, maybe some garlic, and then some sort of filler that's like bulking this up? Is it a potato? That would account for some of the stickiness and starchiness. It's like all of a sudden, like I came in and there was some like very like anonymous yet prominently displayed like tuber. And now I'm like questioning like, what was that? This is gonna be a really, really massive challenge. So what I think this is okonomiyaki. It's sort of like a category of Japanese savory pancake. Doesn't tell me everything I need to know, but certainly got me a lot closer to understanding what this might be and how to make it. I think I'm good here. Woo! Holy shit. Big piece pork belly. You don't want me to fuck around with some ribs just for the sake of it? Yeah, let's get some ribs. So for sauce, we're doing ketchup. Maybe we'll do like rice vinegar, green cabbage, scallions, AP flour, eggs, Kewpie mayo, katsuobushi. Could there be shreds of sweet potato in there? Yeah, what root is this? Taro, cassava. So somebody's gonna shop for this stuff for me, and yeah, we're gonna keep talking about what kind of root this is and have my first attempt. I'm in such an addled state today that like I'm looking at the pork belly, but you know what I'm thinking about? First, I'm gonna season up these ribs. We're gonna have like a rib snack. Probably not today, it's gonna be like a morning tomorrow rib snack. But the pork belly is what we're really gonna lean on today. Slicing a thin enough piece that it's gonna work. Things got a little squiffy towards the middle, but I think that's okay. Let's see if I can get another good one or two out of this. This is just like a little tester piece. Can you just cook a really thin piece of pork belly, no braising, and have it be tender and delicious? Now that I've flipped it one time, would I put my vegetable mixture over this, then put the batter over that? And still, I imagine we're gonna wanna go into the oven or broiler. Look at how much it shrinks. So why don't we just Put this to the side for the minute and think about sauce. Half a cup of ketchup, light brown sugar, a couple tablespoons of rice vin, doing just a little bit of Dijon mustard. Just trying to replicate just like kind of frankly a bit of a middle of the road barbecue sauce vibe. We're just gonna kind of heat this up, see how these flavors concentrate back down. The base of ketchup feels right to me. It's just, what are those ancillary flavors? Are there Japanese barbecue sauces? You know, like the kind of sauce you see with like, you know, kind of like tonkatsu. There's like a ketchup thing, like a Worcestershire sauce thing, maybe like a fruit jam, it's like sweet component kind of happening. So we're gonna throw in some Worcestershire sauce and see where we get. Better. I mean, there's still no heat to it really at all. So that's something to maybe consider for a future round. This is a good juncture to do tasting of the pork. It feels like fairly chewy. I'm just gonna slather on a little bit of our sauce. I'm gonna broil this and see what happens. Maybe slightly more toothsome than I would have liked. I feel like we really need to go even thinner on that pork belly. And then there was this question of like the ginger, like do we need to pickle the ginger? Ooh. Oh, well, isn't that interesting? I've never seen pickled ginger like this. This is what I was imagining like when I said pickled ginger. It's like what we think of like more like in like the sushi space. But then look at this thing that showed up. This is red pickled ginger. It's also called beni shoga. This reminds me of the original dish, how it's like a hot and bright, kind of reads mostly raw, and yet it has this pickliness to it, and it has this structure, it has this stiffness. It doesn't want to flop over like the thinner slice stuff there. I didn't even know this was out there. I'm gonna do some vegetable prep now. Like I need to thinly slice this cabbage. I need to make a pancake mixture. It's a little bit gelatinous. Is it like a batter that's holding quite a bit of cabbage, ginger, maybe some garlic? That was like a very wet batter made up with something starchy. The lack of crispiness made me feel like it was more of like a flour-based batter. Baking powder, salt, milk, egg. Could it really be that simple? I don't know. Okonomiyaki, it's really like a veg-forward savory pancake. And I feel like I was tasting cabbage. Could there be pieces of sweet potato in the actual vegetable matrix? We're gonna throw some fresh ginger in here too. What else? I guess some scallion. Let's throw some scallion in there. I'll just give the tiniest bit of oil as a head start. This is gonna get pretty fatty. So we're gonna sear, flip, press, really render it, get that crispiness going. A lot of extra fat. Let's move it off heat for the minute while I work together my batter and my veg and see how it's coating everything. We're gonna build the okonomiyaki on top of the pork belly, but then the whole thing is gonna have to be flipped. What do you give me if I try to flip it?
I just think you can do it, and I'll give you a high five.
Oh yeah? Wait, so I would get a Cat B high five if I can flip this in one.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got like good color, a little bit of crispiness. So I'm just gonna set that second side before it can be sauced and broiled. So I broiled this as a way of getting the glaze onto the pork belly. Katsuobushi here, beni shoga, and then Kewpie mayo, and then togarashi. All right, first attempt at the dish, pork belly okonomiyaki. To me, this feels reasonably well executed, irrespective of how close it is to the original. Honestly, it's not fucking bad. And the sweet potato, interestingly, just disappears in there. I feel like, frankly, the original was pastier. In terms of scores, ingredients, 60%. In terms of technique, maybe 50%. The pork belly maybe needs a rethink towards the like tender side of things. Appearance, that's where I'll maybe go to a 75%. We made an okonomiyaki, right or wrong. I feel good about that. For taste, I'm gonna give myself a 70. I mean, I think there's a certain impression that's correct, but I don't think it's close enough to the original dish. On this piece of paper, I have my actual scores. Sometimes it's nice to be right. Sometimes it's not nice to be right. My scores are pretty much exactly what I gave myself here. This is one of those challenges. I wonder how close I can truly get, but let's see. This sensation of sauciness, the whole top of this pancake, it makes me feel like this kind of barbecue sauce is a separate drizzle. Is bulldog sauce like a style of sauce, or is it a brand of sauce? Like the way that the meat is so frigging thin, it's like it's literally been cut using like a deli slicer. It's like it's fused to it. I'm really thinking about the composition of this pancake. It's like a very cohesive batter, vegetal, kind of starchy body. And for a minute, it gave me a little kind of like almost like an expression of like dashi. Could the liquid for the batter be dashi? Well, I think I'm good here, and I think I have some good takeaways to act on. Whew. Crazy thin pork belly. Is there dashi in the pancake batter? Like hondashi powder? I'm also curious, like, is it as simple as like just buy yourself a bottle of bulldog sauce? Japanese tubers. Let's explore some of these other ingredients, and we'll be here bright and early. Get another crack at this thing.
Ready to catch?
Yes. Oh, okonomi sauce for topping. When I said bulldog sauce, I was referring to a style of sauce that I have seen paired with tonkatsu. What I needed to mean was okonomi sauce, which is a thing, which I was not aware of, but I was trying to make it, and I kind of did. Oh, what about the hondashi?
Oh.
I started to feel like maybe I was getting a kind of like a dashi from the pancake batter itself. Hondashi is just like instant dashi mix. It's like a combination of salt, MSG, and katsuobushi itself. This stuff's powerful. Now, I guess we kind of have to get in on this yam and see what's what. So a Japanese sweet potato feels very dry, whereas this, it's like sticky and almost sap-like. You know, in Alien, when like the mother alien like opens its mouth and it's like, there's just like the stuff, just like, it's probably what they use for the special effects. I'm gonna grate this and then I'm gonna try the grated mixture. It's basically odorless, flavorless. It's like 100% texture. 1 cup of AP powder, pinch of salt in there. The dashi here is replacing our milk. Slice up some scallion, also some ginger. And I guess I'll leave the cabbage out. Maybe I was like real wrong about that. There's a certain way that the original dish felt like the experience of a spare rib. So I wanted to recreate that experience as well as, making the dish I'm supposed to make. I also asked yesterday if Pat could find me some pork belly that had been really thinly sliced. Give me very broad coverage, but very thin. Okay, in with the batter. So in terms of methodology for flipping things, you've got a couple of options. You could slide this out onto a pot lid and then invert the skillet back over it and flip it, turn it back over. I mean, you can also just do one big flip.
Hey.
I think I'm a lot closer here. In terms of the flavor, is the mountain yam on its own really like the star of the pancake show? That feels like a bit of a stretch, but I also didn't want to just put other things in there just cause, so. Katsuobushi, okonomiyaki sauce, and then Kewpie mayo, and then I'm doing a little bit of togarashi. All right, this is my second and last attempt at the dish. Hope I got a little bit closer. Ingredients. Let's say we were at 60? Maybe let's say we're now at 75. A lot of questions about the vegetable mixture inside the pancake itself. Technique, maybe we crept up to a 70 here. Appearance, let's say maybe we bump this up to an 80 now. And taste we'll do during the judging. But before that, while we're waiting for the original dish, let's get some ribs. Kind of lost one off the end because they were starting to fall apart. They were so tender. This is in honor of Cory's last day. All right, start grabbing them. Come on.
Hey, Chris.
Kathy, good to
Hey.
see you.
Nice to see you.
This was an interesting one. Still some mysteries at work.
There's a lot of stuff going on in here.
Okay, cool.
So I present to you Okonomiyaki by Kenji Lopez-Alt.
Kenji. What's the green stuff? Is that a different type of seaweed?
It's aonori, which is a finely ground seaweed.
Savory, but
So
like
savory.
smoky.
Yeah, but very traditional on top of okonomiyaki. You did use baking powder in this, which you might have felt there was a little bit of height and airy texture to it, but that actually comes from really whisking the batter. I think it's the texture of the mountain yam and the sliminess. Like the more you whip it, it's almost like egg whites or something.
Well, if you don't
Texture
know
thing.
mountain yam,
If
you don't know mountain yam.
you know,
like
and then
as the
once
old
you meet
bard
it, you
said.
never forget it.
Yeah.
You finally got the mountain yam, but decided to remove the cabbage.
There is cabbage
There's
in there?
cabbage in there, Chris.
Oh.
Do you want to give this a try?
Yes, let's start with the original.
So custardy.
The flavors in there are subtle.
Yeah, you're totally right. It's so mild in there. There's not much salt.
No.
Because there's so much salt in all the toppings. And like
Yeah.
the whole point is like you want it swimming in toppings.
Yeah.
You see the height of it too? I
Yeah.
think there's 4 cups of cabbage in here.
Wow. It's
Yeah.
introducing a lot of moisture, which is keeping things like pretty soft in there. All right, I'm
Oh.
serving you
Yeah,
some of
let's
mine.
do it. Yours looks really crispy.
Yeah, certainly lacking the same sense of height here.
Chris, that's so good. The crispiness is actually really nice.
Seasoning's definitely more aggressive with mine.
Yeah. Yours has a little bit of a brighter, maybe lighter ginger flavor. The pork is cooked really well. The crispiness is actually really nice. You got the okonomiyaki sauce.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
If you don't know that Beni Shoga's a thing, and QP mayo, and okonomi sauce, and like all of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
you could go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. So for ingredients, you gave yourself a 75, and I gave you an 80.
Okay.
The only issue was the cabbage. I mean, that was just such a big
That's
part
worth
of it.
20 points to you. Fuzzy math.
You
going
didn't
on
put the
around here.
katsuobushi inside of the pancake or the Beni Shoga. I mean,
Great.
yeah, you got an 80.
Okay, that's it. I love it when you're like firm.
And for technique, you gave yourself a 70, and I gave you a 90. Your technique improved so much. Like, you got down to the actual recipe, and it was really impressive. So for appearance, you gave yourself an 80, and I gave you an 85. I do agree that they look very similar, but you are missing the green pop of color from the aonori and from the scallion. The original recipe is a little
Taller
bit
and
taller, bigger. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so much cabbage in there.
So much. Okay.
How we're feeling about taste?
Yeah, I'd give myself about an 85. You know, like you close your eyes, you taste those elements.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree. I would maybe even give you an 87. You gave yourself a 78, and I gave you an 86.
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah, and I mean, let's mention the pork ribs you worked on, just like on the side for fun to feed the crew. Like, I'm gonna maybe just give you an extra point for that. That's real sweet.
Like this is up there with pizza for me. They should be selling slices of this for, you know, $1 to $5 on every street corner
Just
of
giving
every
people
city.
ideas.
I'm just saying, what a fun challenge. I mean, just like the exploration of ingredients that like are really at the utter boundaries of my own knowledge. And I just love that feeling that like, you know, what felt to me like inherent culinary logic played out, you know, as such in the course of doing this challenge. So this is something that I had some awareness of, but I mean, there's nothing like tasting it blindfolded to find out how much you actually know.
And we got ribs.
And we got some ribs. Yeah, good one.